Even if you're not super deep into Star Wars and have never even heard of Dune, you've probably heard of spice. Only a matter of a few weeks ago, we had spice runners on Tatooine play a prominent role in the Book of Boba Fett, and its history goes all the way back to Episode 4, where we're introduced to Han as a spice smuggler who dropped a shipment belonging to a local crime boss. But what is it? I mean, it's obviously a drug, but there was a point where there was pushback within Lucasfilm on that front, and they could have taken it in an entirely different direction. Kevin J. Anderson, the author of the Jedi Academy trilogy and a bunch of other Star Wars books, gave a 2014 interview with Alternative Nation's Doug McCausland, where he spoke about the presence of spice in the Jedi Academy books. To give a brief rundown of the relevant parts here, Han and Lando spend a significant amount of time both at and trying to buy the spice mines of Kessel. In these passages, Lando and Han are talking about the pharmaceutical uses of spice, and Lando says, "I know you wouldn't have smuggled spice if you didn't know the benefits of the substance." According to Anderson, he put this in as a result of discussions with Lucasfilm, who had strongly opposed Anderson in his earlier drafts portraying spice as a hard drug. According to them, that would mean Han was a drug dealer, which, yes, and that would be unacceptable. When Anderson asked what it actually would have been then, he was told spice could just be that, a spice for food. Honestly, this particular assertion could just have been meant as a joke, so you could read the passage for yourself and see what you think. I'll link the interview in the description. But either way, Lucasfilm was very opposed to it being presented as a drug at all. The conflict between Anderson and Lucasfilm went on long enough that George Lucas himself was even asked to clarify, and he said, quote, "Of course it's a drug." Anderson claims that the lines about pharmaceuticals were then added to the book as an additional thing to soften the impact of Han being a pure drug dealer and give him a little bit of an out. But really, while Anderson portrays that as a thing that he added as a result of these discussions, I personally think it is kind of in the subtext all along. It's certainly something that is stuck afterwards. We see a lot of characters in shows or books mentioning spice smuggling, with several mentions of it being used for pharmaceutical use rather than as a recreational drug. In Episode 4, before we even meet Han, leaving aside 3PO worrying about getting smashed in the spice mines of Kessel, which is possibly another line of support for recreation, I guess, Luke mentions to Ben that he was told his father was a navigator on a spice freighter, which to me supports the idea that Luke intended it as a drug with legitimate or medicinal uses as well. After all, it seems unlikely that Owen's explanation for Luke on why his dad wasn't a Sith Lord would be because he was just a drug dealer instead. It's also consistent with something that we do see in the real world as well. While some drugs are so dangerous or addictive that they have no real practical purpose, many drugs do have some legitimate applications, and walking that fine line is something that has been a problem within medicine for a long time. But obviously litigating anything on that issue is way beyond the scope of a lore video. There are multiple types of spice in universe, but that's more of a thing that emerged over the years as it appeared more often in other work, going from a specific substance to being a group of different types of substances, some like glitter stim usually siding more on the fact of just being a hard drug, versus others that get mentioned more often just in the context of medicinal capabilities. If we do take it for granted that Star Wars was influenced by the other sci-fi franchise Dune on this front, which does seem to be the case, it would make even more sense. In Dune, spice is definitely an addictive drug with some dangerous side effects, but it's also the source of serious medical benefits among other borderline superpowers. In Star Wars, it definitely takes more of a back seat compared to Dune, and gets glossed over rather than having its specific effects or societal effects of how it's used or regulated ever playing a particularly central role in any stories, which is understandable for what the series is, and how many downstream implications that could have for other already established ideas. But at the very least, the idea that there was a time where it could have just been some time is kind of funny. That's going to do it for today. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Remember to leave a like or subscribe if you did. If there's anything else you'd like to see me cover on the channel, or you have anything you'd like to add on today's topic, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you next time.